I've been inspired by shoes with projects quite a bit actually. On the Kevin Hart Roadrunner, the interior on it had a splatter. I mean, he wanted the car to be called Michael Meyers because of Halloween. He loves that movie. So I wanted to do splatter texture on leather. I took the same leather, bought a brand new pair of Air Max, and there's a guy down in San Diego that custom makes Nikes. He takes them down to the vulcanizing. So we made a pair of Air Max that matched the interior of the car.
That's cool.
We did a custom Roadrunner that was to the car. We put it on the heel. I mean, it looked. I even made a shoebox. Printed everything out.
Like a point of purchase.
Cool. Like even the tags on it said Michael Meyers edition, Kevin Hart, size. I don't want to say the size, it's pretty small, but like.
Hey, welcome to Car Guy Confessions, brought to you by ARP. I'm Jeff Smith. This is my car buddy Cam Benty and car builder Steve Strope, and we're going to tell you the stories.
You like that one? Like the falsetto?
Right, that was good.
Yeah, I actually can sing.
All right, Mariah, let's go.
All right, yeah. Well, it's Christmas time, so we all got to get bombarded with that shit. Car Guy Confessions, new episode. We are brought to you, of course, by ARP-bolts.com. And again, our unbelievable, beautiful gazillion-dollar setting here at the Petersen Museum. Now, some of you who have watched 1, 2, or maybe even 3 of these episodes has seen us every now and then talk to the mysterious peasbull on the other side of the camera, and that would be one of them. This would be the world. Well, you can introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Hi.
Wow, that was helpful.
Yes, I am Marcel. I'm one of the producers here of Car Guy Confessions, and you can tell that I am not Jeff Smith, and neither is he.
I am not.
Or
Cam
Benty.
Benty.
Right.
But we do have, for a repeat performance,
The real Slim Shady?
Oh, okay, fine. Sure, if that's what he's going by now. It's a personal choice. Sean Smith, designer extraordinaire. So this is going to be an interesting panel because you guys don't know him, but he's been in this industry a very, very, very long time and been influential in his own way, a lot with the truck world.
Mostly, and that's, honestly, Sean and I share
some
a lot
boat
of
stuff.
Yeah, a lot of boat stuff too. But Sean and I actually, we were both involved in a lot of truck stuff in our younger days.
Right.
I know
you
that's
were involved for truck stuff? Mm-hmm. You failed to bring up the truck stuff.
Well, we didn't get there yet. But
Okay, fair enough.
Right.
Yeah.
So, that's, pretty much we kind of know each other from truck shows, and also too, obviously you were drawing some of these trucks back in the day.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I guess
Did you build any for yourself?
Yeah.
Did you have a truck?
But you know what? I've never owned a truck. I actually I designed and built. My first project ever was a '91 Buick Roadmaster station wagon. I actually wanted a Caprice wagon, but they were really hard to get a hold of because they were all going to Japan at the moment.
Yes, I remember that.
Those days?
Yeah.
And
and same with the Astro vans.
Yes, and so it was a father-son project, and we took it, and
Buick's got the cooler roof.
It did. It had the moonroof, right.
Yeah, or the skylight roof.
Yeah, it had the skylight roof, and then, but yeah, we shaved it and airbagged it, and we custom painted it all black, and then we airbrushed it. We turned it back into a Chevy and put all the Chevy parts back on it. But then my dad had a Pro Street 56 Nomad that was done kind of Scott Sullivan-esque style, of the 55.
Indeed.
And so we airbrushed 56 Nomad trim on the wagon.
Yep.
And
that
then,
would be a Steve Stanford
Yeah,
thing. Yeah,
that.
indeed.
Right.
The man.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then it was airbagged on 20-inch torque thrust, and it was a cool car. Yeah, it was a very cool car.
Yeah.
And I was in a car club, with you guys called Relax Atmosphere, and we showed it in the whole club scene and the whole. Back in those days, you went to truck shows to show cars, truck jamboree, and a lot of the river runs and stuff. But that's actually how I got another start in. I started freelancing. The guy that was head of our club, Mike Shartstis, he was editor at the time of Truckin' and Mini Truckin', and he asked me like, "Hey, can you do some renderings?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." I'd never done work before, and I remember
This was before art school.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And I actually remember my parents had to drive me down to the Petersen, the big tall
The building.
Wilshire.
Right. Not
Yeah.
Wilshire.
Yes,
to
the
get my
Wishbone,
check and and then
That's cool.
Well, that's back when the Petersen was like
Like you were going, you
not
had to
the
go
Petersen-
downtown.
Well, hold on. What was the name of the
No, it was
Petersen
called
Petersen
it was called the
Yeah, it
Petersen
was-
Building.
Because
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they
Down
went
here
through
on
McMullen
Wilshire.
Argus,
Right.
and then they went through Prime Media, so it was back then.
Yes.
Source Interlink,
Yeah, Source Center.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was.
the entertainment.
Well, honestly,
network.
to share with you guys, magazine guys, they actually call the culmination of different magazines here. We actually call them Pepsi, right? Because you have Petersen, then you have EMAP, then you have Source Interlink, right? Then it goes back to what?
Prime
Oh, I
Media.
forgot
Prime
Prime Media,
Media, yeah.
right? But basically, like
That's funny.
the 5 or 6 different
Yeah.
Wow, that's
magazines,
trippy.
they spell Pepsi. So when everybody says, "Who do you work for?" I always just say, "Oh, I work for Pepsi."
But I remember going there, and it was on La Cienega, right?
No, it was down the street. It was like
or was it on
Wilshire.
Fairfax?
yeah,
Was
yeah,
Wilshire?
Wilshire.
we're
But I
on
remember,
Fairfax and
like,
Wilshire right now, but it
what
was
you-
down the street.
What you thought a high executive editorial
Yeah.
job was back then,
Right.
That there's an art department, people running around,
Yes.
there's assistants, there's racks, there's photography.
It reminds me
there's-
of Mad Men.
Yeah,
Like,
it was totally like
looks
that.
like
And
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, man, this is crazy.
Yeah,
This is it.
and at a younger age too. I mean, you were like your mom drove you here, right?
Yeah, I remember I had my license obviously because I was in a car club, but they were like, "You're not driving to LA," and all
Right, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like,
We can't trust you to
yeah.
do that.
So I remember they were like, "We'll take you down there to, and I think the check was. I still have the check. It's framed. It's like
Sure.
it's like $190 for 5 renderings.
Yeah, yeah.
But hey,
That was the deal.
that was the first paying job I've
And
ever,
what
I've
magazine
ever had.
was that for?
That was ended up in Mini Trucking.
I was going
Yeah.
to say that couldn't be trucking because trucking wasn't.
No, trucking was around. Yeah,
No,
trucking
trucking was
oh,
around, but not
yeah.
under their envelope.
Not under theirs, no,
under
no.
their
Not
that-
under
envelope.
that
yeah.
envelope, no,
Yeah.
no, and then yeah, it was many, and then I did stuff for Super Street,
Yeah.
then I did stuff for Max Power, yeah.
Which those and Mike actually followed along with that because Mike
Yeah.
worked on Super Street for a long
Right.
time and actually
Yeah.
Max Power too as well. So
Mike.
Mike Sharks this. Magazine guys tend to have many hats.
Yeah.
You know, like I was the editor of Muscle Car Power. I'm like the furthest guy away from muscle cars, but I was the editor of the magazine,
Yeah.
right? So it just you kind of fall into, hey, you're good with a camera. You're good. You can
You're
write
working
a
at Hot
complete
Bike
script.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Now it's your
Exactly.
turn to write.
Yeah, you're
do
at Hot
this.
Boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And a lot of my friends they were like, "Hey, call me. What happened? Oh man, I'm at Hot Boat now. And
Yeah.
I can't pull that string anymore. Or I can't
Right.
get that sponsorship." But it was definitely interesting back in those days.
Oh, yeah.
Dealing. I mean, I was thrown like so being in Relaxed Atmosphere, which was a very industry-driven club. Like me being pretty young, early on, I kind of was rubbing elbows with editorials and editors and builders and wheel companies and all of a sudden it was boot camp for that.
Right,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
I went to SEMA. My first SEMA was 1998.
right.
So
Yeah, absolutely. Those days, though, you guys were mentioning social media earlier and talking about how like it's kind of lost its luster, where people just kind of all of a sudden, here I'm going to show you every photo that I'm building in this truck, but you're not going to see it for 6 months. And I
Right.
totally agree with you guys. I do think that there's the seduction of saying this is coming, and
Oh, heck yeah.
and I remember that, like, there was a car company that was in one of the magazines back in the day, and what they did is they would only show like a picture of just the wheel, and it's coming.
yeah,
And
Right.
it's kind of almost like the seduction that a woman does. She puts on multiple layers of clothes, and obviously,
does the stance type thing. Yeah.
right,
Right.
does like their peacocking type thing. And
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that is kind of missed now that we have social media. So immediate.
Everything's full frontal.
Right.
Everything's fully out. You got to tell me everything. It's like, and then there's no payoff.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we had
There's no anything.
we had the 3-month turnaround in the magazines. That meaning, if a car came out at SEMA, you didn't see it until April.
Right.
Right.
You didn't see the new Troy
Well,
Trepanier.
and you saw the
That's right.
good
You didn't see the
and you saw the
Boyd
good
car.
stuff though.
Yep.
It's,
First.
Right.
And then when you saw that spread, I mean, you kept looking and hanging on to that magazine, and you saved it. And there was other magazines you threw away, but maybe
Yeah.
you saved that one by your recliner.
Unless you're Steve.
Yeah.
It saves all of them.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have every
Yeah.
one of them because hi, I'm Steve, and I have a condition.
Periodical addiction problem.
Yeah. So you know what? To put this in a different world, it drives me crazy. Like movies
Right.
and the action figures from movies.
Sure.
Example, you get a new Star Wars, which as far as the first original movies, I'm one of the biggest geeks you're going to find about it.
Right.
I think the newest stuff, again, just open my big mouth, the last bunch that Disney just raped and ruined. that I want to touch the table.
No hand jive. No hand jive.
But I need it for stability.
Makes loud noises.
It anchors me. God damn it. Anyway, they've done a horrible job of ruining it, but actually they've done a great job of ruining it. But you'll see 800 trailers, which are the only good parts of the movie.
Right.
And then I'm still wondering, in another episode, if you watch it, I make the comment about sheeple. And I am amazed.
T-shirts? T-shirts, anyone?
No, I'm already working on it.
Yeah, okay.
But I am amazed how a child, right, not a theoretical adult, but a child, can be excited to go get an action figure that they haven't even seen on screen yet.
Right.
The toys are out before the movie is, and there's the cast of reoccurring characters, but there's
Right.
also new good guys and villains. And how in the world are you, if you never saw Boba Fett,
Right.
why in the world would you go get a toy of a character you've never seen to like or dislike? I mean, how does that happen?
Okay, I'm going to stick up a little bit for the younger kids nowadays because there are guys like you and I that, like, this kills me right now. Legos have instructions. Okay. Legos to me were
Some of them have become pretty complex.
Well, no, but on top of that too, if I want to learn how to build my Millennium Falcon, right? Whatever that thing's called.
Millennium?
Sure, right? It's a piece of an English muffin that you bite in half and fly it around.
Wow.
No, but
Really?
what I'm saying is that now there's instructions to Legos, where Legos to me were a bunch of bricks that you made what you thought was your version of the Millennium Falcon. Where
Right.
now you can have it to where it looks like,
Oh, I get what you're saying.
you know what I mean? Like the
Before
creativity is
you
kind
took
of
a bunch of
lost.
stuff and made it look like
Right,
it.
right.
Now they make you can go buy an expensive Lego
Yeah.
that looks like a new Porsche GT3.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Which is kind of cool on one hand.
Yeah,
But I agree with what you're saying.
But I think the creativity has subsided where
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take away from it because there's also people that have built those as like a 4-year-old kid and has grown up and has become this amazing artist.
Right, sure.
So
it opened a world to them.
But it also kind of toned down the creativity to point where the
Right.
guy that made the Millennium Falcon that looked like a real deal in the 70s, you go, wow, that guy's got talent. Now it's like the 4-year-old that walked out and said, yeah, me and my dad put this together. There's 400 steps, right? So
right. I agree. But the kind of thing where I was going and tying it to the whole magazine thing, it's like, wait for it.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah.
is so
Right.
put out right out front now that there
Yeah.
is no anticipation. You know, before you had to wait, 4 or 5 years for another Star Wars movie.
Oh, exactly.
Back in the day.
Right.
And the hype was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that was out without any of the computer, without any of the
Right.
social
We're
media.
still making models
And
back
it was,
then.
and it
right.
was, and it was, but it was huge. Everyone knew the new Star movie
Yeah,
was,
yeah,
was going to
yeah.
come out, and it was huge.
Yeah.
And then you couldn't wait to see what was coming out after that. Oh, the toy! Oh, they made a toy about the AT-AT.
Yeah, right.
From Empire Strikes Back. Holy mackerel! That's so cool.
Isn't it pronounced AT-AT?
No, there's
Look it up.
there's actual discussions about that.
Okay.
If it's AT-AT or AT-AT.
I'm AT-AT.
That's fine.
Okay.
You can't.
Well, okay. One thing I wanted to
But
share
anyway.
from the last episode here with Sean, he was mentioning talking about drawing some shoes for Nike and having like a lot of
Not
inspiration
for
for
Nike.
that, right?
They were sneakily given to Nike.
Hey,
By somebody,
they
and
made
then-
it to
and
Phil
then
Knight's
Nike
desk,
digged it.
right? Yeah. The funny thing about
Digged
that
it.
is,
Sure, it's
I used to
dug
work at Stitchcraft with Revo Reeves and Alan Hayes back in the day. We used to do a lot of upholstery work for California Custom, who at the time was like the king of the Astro van and the Caprice wagons,
Yeah,
like you're talking
sure,
about, and
yeah.
we were putting together these interiors like crazy
For import and export.
importing them over to Japan. So there was an Astro van that came over that actually Dick Vale painted it. It was this pink Astro van with these big crazy flames. And Dana, the owner of California Custom at the time, he said, "You guys just do whatever you want." Like he already had our trust in what type of interior work that we had done before. And there was a few things that Dana ahead of time didn't like about some of our interiors. Like he didn't like the fact that we always tagged our logo inside the interior. And he goes, "Well, listen, it's my car. Why is your logo inside my car?" And I said, "Well, listen, you're wearing a pair of Nike shoes, and I'm sure if you called Phil Knight right now and said, 'Hey, Phil Knight, I want those shoes without Nike,' he'd probably tell you to go, shove it." And so he goes, "That's pretty good." So using that shoe analogy, Revo, who was the designer at the time, he said, I'm going to take off, and he took off his Reebok shoe and he said, that's our inspiration for the interior. So when we did these giant door panels inside this Astrovan, the panels had like a very shoe-looking look to them and had perforated materials that, kind of the same materials and the same look that a shoe had, but just in this larger scale deal. So, and it was pretty groundbreaking at the time. And when we showed it to Dana, he goes, wow, where'd you guys get this inspiration from? And literally Revo goes, my Reeboks.
Right.
And for us, we were like, how could you take something that is so simple that everybody's walking in the streets and put it on a different scale and have somebody look at it as art? That was kind of like our joke. Yeah. So it was almost like we got the idea from our shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
But it looks so different when it's on a big scale.
Exactly.
You'd never recognize it.
Hey, we'd like to thank our sponsor, ARP-bolts.com. We got a fantastic little backdrop here. They make an outstanding series of bolts, almost anything you would need for engines, chassis, things like that. In fact, we were at lunch today, and a guy asked you about the bolt on the back of your shirt, and and I said, well, it's really about a head bolt. They neck the stem down of the bolt on a small block Chevy head bolt, so the clamp load is even across 3 different head bolt lengths on a small block Chevy. And, so that's the kind of technology that you get out of ARP. And we've all got stories on all that stuff.
For a translation of what he said, call ARPbolts.com.
but the message is that you can't get any better than that.
No, you cannot.
There you go.
Nope.
Excellent.
And then just check them out at arp-bolts.com. We'd like to thank our friends at inthegaragemedia.com. They have 3 fantastic magazines. They've got Classic Truck Performance, they have Modern Rotting, and my favorite, All Chevy Performance with Nick, my buddy Nick, is the editor.
Biased.
So
Correct.
yes, of course.
Yes.
But they're doing print media, which is of course our favorite. So
Tangible
color and
magazine.
everything.
in color and everything, and you can get your car on the cover of one of those books, which is a fun
that's a
deal.
lot.
Great tech.
Great
Written
tech.
by you and
not
others
always
that are
written by me, but yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Not always written by me.
That's right.
Just
So
pick it
check
up and
them out
read it.
at inthegaragemedia.com, and they're our friends, and they will thank you.
No, I've been inspired by shoes with projects quite a bit actually. On the Kevin Hart Roadrunner, the interior on it had a splatter. I mean, he wanted the car to be called Michael Meyers. 'Cause
Right.
of Halloween. He loves that movie. So
Okay.
I wanted to do splatter texture on leather. It kind of mimicked splatter blood, but I knew that would be a little bit too much. Plus,
Yeah.
he wanted to keep the color schemes orange and black. But I also knew that Kevin wore these one shoes, Air Max, Nike Air Max, and they made a texture on that leather that was splatter leather or textured splatter leather. And so when the car was done, we put that in the interior, which turned out really nice. Everybody liked it. But I took the same leather, bought a brand new pair of Air Max, and there's a guy down in San Diego that custom makes Nikes. He takes them down to the vulcanizing. So we made a pair of Air Max that
matched the interior?
Nice.
of the car.
That's cool.
We even tooled the road. We did a custom Roadrunner that was to the car. We put it on the heel. I mean, it looked. I even made a shoebox. Printed everything out.
Oh, like a point
That's
of
cool.
purchase.
Great.
Like
Yeah.
even the tags on it said Michael Meyers edition, Kevin Hart,
Nice.
size. I don't want to say the size; it's pretty small, but but everything you would have thought that it was down to the theme, and it was just. I think that's why people get these cars is you can go and buy a Ferrari, you can go buy
Yeah.
a Porsche, but you can't have that level of experience.
I agree.
with it,
I agree. And I think a lot of those
Yeah.
celebrities that purchase cars like that, I mean, look at Joe Rogan here, right?
Right.
Where he can afford to buy any Ferrari, Lamborghini, Porsche, and look just like another celebrity.
Right.
Where I think that's where when celebrities, when they commission a car, they're commissioning their personality. They're saying, this is what I like.
Yeah, and that's one thing that Kevin definitely wants. Every time we do a project with him, he comes up with the name, and he comes up with some type. He wants it to be some type of character type of car, and he kind of like we were talking about that story that oftentimes that we come up with. He actually likes to be part of this. He actually will pretty open on what we do, but he wants a little bit of input on the story, which is fun. You know what I mean? He gets that part of it. Not a big surprise because of Hollywood. You know what I mean? It's a very story-driven
Right.
industry, right? But that is the fun part of working with him. Yeah.
One of the things that I learned about that car after you guys debuted it was, and I'm pretty good friends with the Whipple family, was that they actually put one of their late model new 3.8 liter superchargers on that that Chrysler Hemi. And the funny thing about it is that Whipple's been refining their superchargers down to such a efficient way of doing things that the actual case sizes are starting to get smaller.
Sure, yeah.
Right? And I know that from what I hear, they put the supercharger on top of the motor, and it looked like this little wimpy little supercharger on top of this real big motor.
Yeah.
So you guys actually built like an extension,
Right.
to make the supercharger match the size of the Hemi. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah, I probably sounds correct. I just draw cars.
I love it.
Yeah, that's a Dave Salvaggio question, who I partner with on the build side of things. But,
Amazing though, because now knowing that, because of course, like
Stating aesthetics matter.
no, it does. And when I saw the
Not
car, I
just-
was like,
Not just efficiency.
yes,
Yeah, absolutely,
yes, right.
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny because obviously Whipple's like, hey, big things come in little packages here, but at the same time too, it just looked like this little kind of like small little deal on that big engine. And what they did
Why don't
though,
you put a AA battery on the top of it?
exactly. But you guys pulled it off
Pringles
so
can.
nice.
Yeah.
The even the color choice to go with like that, it's like it almost looks like a flat anodizing.
Yeah, they really did a nice job doing the color. The whole engine bay of that car is really nice. There's a guy we work with, Randy, back in Wisconsin, who's just an amazing metal worker, and he really hit it out of the park on the creativity with that. But yeah, it's weird. That car from certain aspects is really timeless. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You look at it and it's like, oh, that's the getaway. It looks like a getaway car
Yeah.
vibe, a sleeper vibe. And then other times you look at it and you're like, well, this is bananas. You
Right.
know? And the engine bay is one of those things that absolutely looks nuts. You know, from the outside, it looks pretty sleeperish.
Yeah, it does.
You know, and that's kind of how we wanted it. We wanted it to be, you know, from afar, it was a sleeperish car. But when you got up on it, the details kept you there for quite a long time.
It does. It grabs you. It does. It is one of those cars that it will make you stop, and you might walk the car not just once, but even twice.
Sure.
You know, it is got a lot of nice hidden Easter eggs.
There you go.
Indeed.
Yes.
So without giving anything away, maybe just year, make, model, what's on the burner? We're doing you don't even have to say who, just, you know, because I understand this.
Yeah.
I
no,
respect
exactly.
it.
Totally do.
Man, I don't know if I can say.
You don't have to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't worry. They'll just be sad and lonely.
You'll have to wait. You can't see him on social media either.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start hiding
It's going to be all
myself.
fuzzy.
That's funny.
I'm
Send in a drawing and then we'll just blacken it.
I'm actually doing a really.
Vaseline the screen.
I'm actually doing a really cool. I can't talk about this. It's a 190 SL.
Okay.
For Rich Buckley, who did the Mercedes with Kindiggett.
Yeah.
The Gullwing car.
Gullwing
The
car,
fiberglass
yeah.
car.
And he's
Yep.
a really cool guy. He's got really good taste, and he's very much into those Mercedes. So working with him is kind of an educational process, which is cool because I love Mercedes and I love that era of car, but I don't know a lot about them. So at the moment, right now, I was actually talking to Steve, the builder, Steve Kiefer from East Bay Muscle Cars, this morning about the car. But
Talented group.
Yeah.
very talented, and just coming off a really big build with their latest Mustang. But they were doing that car, a convertible, and it's got a Tesla engine and chassis on it, which is very interesting. And
Motor,
yeah,
Yes.
not engine.
motor. Yeah, that's true.
Let me ask you this, because I think between the three of us here at the table, all of us were very influenced by like 80s action sports, like BMX, skateboards.
Oh, definitely.
You know, do you think that, because I see that I've always kind of seen that in your designs.
Oh, okay.
Is that kind of something that, am I reading into something, or is that come
I'm
from that?
actually, I have all my best friends work in the apparel industry that come from that industry. They either designed either action sports or the streetwear industry. So a lot of what hanging out with them and seeing what they do often makes their way subconsciously through. I mean, I don't know if they know it, but it's sometimes, and hopefully, some of the things that I bring to the table. One of my really good friends, Ali Asha Workamore, he's a very, very well-known clothing designer and done a lot of streetwear things behind a lot of big brands. And And it's weird because his stuff is very three-dimensional, because clothing you think of as flat and
Yeah.
two-dimensional, right? Because we always think of clothing as in terms of T-shirts, but he designs a lot of what we call like technical outerwear, and he does really well in making things have a lot of dimension and stuff. So it's kind of like I look at that and I get inspired by some of the interior stuff, and hopefully vice versa. But there is some things that I think make their way into what I do from inspiration from my friends and the company I keep. It's weird, I'm so much in the car industry that I don't want to do anything with cars when it comes to at 9 to 5. Once I punch the clock and it's the weekend, I like to do other things.
Yeah.
During downtime.
Yeah, during downtime, and it's
That's
funny.
what music is for me.
Yeah, a lot of people. I just got done seeing a girl, and she's like, "Oh, don't you want to go to car show this weekend?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want to go to the car. I want to go to Chili Cook-Off."
Right.
And that's like, that's actually
That's a
my
good idea.
No, that's actually funny. That's actually my thing. Is I do compete with Chili Cook-Off.
Okay.
But like,
Okay.
Or I want to go do something that's completely non-automotive. So when I go back to my job on
Right.
Monday, I'm inspired by something that's completely fresh and probably got me some form of inspiration that's going to be different than looking at other people's Instagrams or car shows.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, walking around here is very inspiring.
Sure.
This isn't of the
Right.
normal ilk at a
Let's put
local
it this
car
way.
This is
show.
true, right.
Let's put it this way. You love cars, but
Yes, I do.
But you also have to play music.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you know
the
what?
music inspires the cars. And
Yes, it does.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's a big part of what you do.
And it is.
Yeah.
It's a very big part of me.
Right.
And I also, I enjoy, for lack of a better way to put it, like going to a giant mall and window shopping.
Oh, yeah.
Just walking around and looking at, same thing, I find textures, I find colors, I find fonts,
Yeah.
advertisements. The inspiration is somewhere in this mall.
Yeah.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm trying to find the spy in the airport.
Right. Yeah.
But I know 20-1. There's going to be something I'm going to go, that's a cool color, or I like that contrast together in that
Right.
in that banner ad or whatever it is, and you find that and go, I'm going to squirrel that away.
Yeah.
And I've used that before. I have. I've directly applied.
Well, and I also think that, for one, like I noticed this with my wife, and she's in the medical industry, and we have to go to a lot of events that we're usually talking to, these doctors or somebody, and they'll find out, what do you do for a living? And I just usually say, I'm an automotive journalist. And all of a sudden the lights turn on. Oh my God, you must love car show. And they go down the whole thing. And I'm like, hey man, do you like hang out at like the doctors like events and like check out stethoscopes? Because that's, and the guy goes, that's completely boring. I'm like, welcome to my world. When you're going to tell me about your Mercedes outside that you have, I'm going to go, right? But then again, too, you see inspiration, like you say, you walk into the grocery store and you're like, I've never seen this color before on this fruit.
Yep.
Oh my God, this could be a rad color.
Yep.
And I find inspiration like that all the time.
Yep, for sure.
But now if I go to a car show, I hate going to a car show for the reason of looking for inspiration, because everyone else has already done their version.
Do you think we being, of our ilk, or just the three here, that we are, because I've talked about this with one of my best friends that works for me, Kelly Cox, and we reminisce back when we met and we were doing work for Mattel.
Okay.
We were doing all the little prototypes and stuff, and we were actually working for Action Diecast too.
Right.
Doing all their stuff and their paint samples, and so Eat, Breathing, and Sleeping, Hot Rod magazine, and da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Fast forward to now, we've done all this amazingly fortunate stuff and won the awards we've won and had the TV show and did all this stuff. Are we, when it comes to the local car show, the local Cars and Coffee, are we numb to it because it's like, I've seen that 500,000 times, and because we're so used to being, that's why when we come here, that settles down, because we're not seeing that every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
But other than that, it's like,
Yeah,
I
Sean
don't need
Davis,
to see that again.
Sean's like, why don't you go to the quarantine cruise? And I'm like,
why?
I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. I'm like, I'm not.
Not to be rude, but
not to be
why?
rude, but like, there's nothing that's gonna be
right.
And then on Monday he's like, what did you do? And I'm like, I went to the farmers market in Little Italy.
Yeah.
And he's like, And I'm like, I don't know, that's my thing. Like, you know, and it's
Well,
like,
yeah.
Well,
yeah,
and guys, it happens because
I think because we're so
You just get
submerged
jaded.
too.
No, you
Yeah.
do,
And we're
look,
jaded.
Yeah.
and
I
also
think we
too,
are.
like you have musician friends that are the same way. I mean, Sean Davis is exactly what Sean was a working musician for many years.
Fantastic one,
And
by the
you
way.
say, and you go, hey, Sean, like you want to just bust out the guitar and
like, no.
and he's
he's
like,
like, no, I don't want to do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't get
I
him
get
to
it though.
jam.
I get
He
it.
won't.
Yeah.
I know.
And he's fantastic.
No, I know. I mean, and
Super talented.
But it goes back to the same thing. You look at like guys that are like, let's say a professional athlete, like a professional baseball player, or Kevin Hart. Hey, Kevin Hart, you want to go tell jokes? He's probably like, oh, you got jokes? He's.
You know, that's weird. Actually, you know what? I can't speak really for him,
Okay.
but comedians really seem like they still like to go to the club and tell jokes.
Oh, but we also like, for example, we all like to go to the Grand National Roadster show. I mean, the three of us will agree
That's
that's
true.
like the show
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we like to go
Yeah.
to.
Amen.
Yeah.
So I could see where that, but I'm also not the guy that's trying to beat down the door to get to the quarantine cruise first. And I'm not saying the quarantine cruise isn't bad.
It's not. It's amazing.
It's actually
an amazing event.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Patrick, if you're listening,
Yeah,
the
no,
quarantine
seriously.
cruise is
I hate it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
But I'm not running down there to sit in line with a bunch. And the other thing too, I love how us guys, like if you're trying to impress a girl by growing up and building a car,
Yeah.
come to your adult life and look back at your teenage life and think to yourself, man, all I do is catch dudes. Because you go to a gas station or the quarantine cruise, and there's no hot girls walking up to you going like, hey, nice car, buddy.
True.
There's a bunch of guys going like, oh, how'd you get that done? And who did this work? And blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, whoa, hey, slow down, bro. I'm here.
Sausage fest.
Yeah. No, I like doing things that are a little bit outside. I mean, I love what I do so much that I do it all the time for a living.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Right.
all of us. And
Right.
And I
Yeah.
think when it comes time to turn that off, that I have to turn other things on or be around other people, which is nice.
And also, I think it's a move, even subconscious, that we're so buried in this. The only way we're going to get inspiration is
Yes.
outside of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's the whole, all work, no play makes Johnny the dull boy as well.
Right.
So, if we're not going out and visiting something like this or even just seeing something that's inspirational and just going like, wow, that's kind of cool. Never seen that before.
Yeah, and I definitely, I like that in literature. I look at old magazines, and I I look at the phrasing, the catchphrase, the terms being used by the 23 Skidoo.
Yeah,
and,
my great-
all that stuff. And
My great uncle was Barney Oldfield. And he obviously is the man that's known for going 60 miles an hour, a mile a minute. He was Henry Ford's test pilot, and at the turn of the
your
century,
eyes are going to go back in your
yeah,
head.
yeah, no, and that was the thing. They were like, the devil's, pushing this guy, like, this is crazy, you can't do this. Well, he was known for his catchphrase was, you know me. So, of course, anytime that, people say, like, who the hell do you think you are, Barney Oldfield? And I'm always like, you know me.
Yeah.
But, that was a catchphrase that was very popular in, like, the teens of the last century.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just the vernacular that goes through that people kind of latch onto, comes from culture.
It's funny. Last weekend, I had to do a bunch of Christmas shopping and stuff, and I was with this girl, and she's like, I hate shopping. Why do you like shopping? And I'm like, I love shopping, And she's
Yeah,
like, oh,
same.
why? My God, why?
Yeah.
And it's like
We're the only two
and
guys that wanna go
not
shopping
that I'm-
in a
not that I'm
mall.
some weird creepo or anything, but I like to go out and observe people's trends on what they're accepting
Yeah.
into their life as terms of a product or an experience or food.
Right.
Or what, and that's why I said, going back to the Tesla thing, oftentimes I look at what people are doing, and we live in this time of, like, it's very similar to the late 70s where we're in a drought of good taste.
Yeah.
We're there's the music.
I
is-
like that.
And I'm not trying to come off like,
No.
the old dude. But it's just like, music sucks. People
Yes.
dress is horrible. Like, the only
Yes.
thing that I can think is amazing right now, we're in an excellent time for really good food.
Yeah.
And food that's like really good food that's not expensive too. You know what I mean? I think that's on deck right now. But I think I look at like contemporary car design, and I look at how people dress. I'm just like, man, things are really kind of bad right now.
Yes.
You know, and it
I'll
sucks
agree with
too
you.
because the world's kind of in a turmoil point. And in the past, whenever the world is in a bit of turbulence,
yeah.
we always have excellent music,
Yeah.
excellent fashion, excellent clothing. Like late 60s,
Yeah.
the Cold War era. Like, now, it's just horrible.
Yeah.
Things are horrible in the world.
I
things
know.
are horrible. It's like,
And I know where you're going with that.
and I think it's social media.
Right. I was just going to say, because
Yeah.
things have to change over so quickly. So I think I know where
Things
you're going
have
with
to
that.
change hands too quickly.
But I
Yep.
think that there's a change coming.
So we'd like to thank our sponsor, ARP and ARP-bolts.com. And I mean, we all three build cars. We all work on this stuff. And
I tinker.
You tinker.
I tinker.
Yes, we all build.
Yeah, and you know what? It's kind of a really cool multiple purpose fastener for me because there's all the science and all the technology, which is bottomless. Trust me. Unbelievable amount of research that they put into these things.
Absolutely.
And on top of it, you get them out of the package, and they're absolutely beautiful. Which I've joked before, it's like jewelry for your car. And when we're building when we're building a high end car, there isn't anything else going on it. It's part of the criteria for me to have them lining the engine bay, not just on the engine, everywhere.
Yeah. Right.
So you get all the strength, the durability, the reliability, and fantastic good looks.
Sure.
Kind of like Jeff here.
And without peer. Without peer.
And you know what?
Or paired.
Without peer, there's nobody else that does what they do.
It is. So check them out at arp-bolts.com, and they can help you out.
Because like you said, we've had those angst years where, you know, people have to, I mean, okay, let's briefly say Rage Against the Machine. Right now, if they were in this current time frame, they'd be a bigger band than they were in the 90s. Yeah. You know, whereas we don't really have that kind of revolutionary band right now or that voice that's going out. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I guess we'll have to wait and see for that.
But it's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting to just go out there, especially in this digital world we live in where we're so screen conscious. It's like, go out and look at people and get amongst people.
Yeah.
You know, like I have a home studio in my house. So it's important for me every day. I have to go to the gym and I have to get breakfast at a coffee shop and get amongst people and just sit there and kind of like just see how things are going.
Right.
Because it's like then I got to go back into my world for 18 hours a day. And that's just, you know, I got to take the blinders off. You got to get out there. And it's something that we just don't do. We're so swipe heavy.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, just get out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I shut my phone off when I get home.
Yeah, I mean, like
I am, in my house, I don't have a computer.
Right.
Yeah.
My TV is not hooked up to an external source. It's hooked up to a DVD player.
Well,
last night was season 1 of Scooby-Doo.
Are you guys look at what we have to work with here, right?
You know what? But I enjoyed myself.
You did? Because you were with those meddling kids, weren't you?
I was with those meddling kids.
But I also think too, like the reason why I think like back when we grew up, you had to sneak out to go to that show your parents didn't want to go to.
Right.
To go to that punk rock concert or go to
Right.
see
You had to
go
do all
see
the
Motley
effort.
Crue.
Yeah.
You had to have a huge
Now
effort.
you just watch it.
Or you wanted to go to the underground rave party, you had to find the flyer and call the number and you had to drive around and there was a huge effort to do something that was like
Effort and, anticipation.
It's like what we're living in is the absence of subculture, which is super sad.
Well,
You know what I mean? Because social media killed subculture.
yeah. In a way, though,
Wow, we're like,
I was going to say we're
Big
expanding so
thinkers.
much right now. We're
Right.
like we're going to solve all the
forgot
problems.
my pipe.
Well, we're going to solve all the gray hair problems because honestly
Really?
and truthfully, you guys, like we're talking like this, but I do hang around a lot of younger kids, and let me tell you, they're having just as much fun as we did. It's just a different kind of fun.
okay.
Okay, so I mean, don't think that like, everybody's broken. It's
Really?
just that I'm serious. Like, and also too, I kind of
my niece and nephew, and I'm like, hey,
well, no, because okay, but here's
sucks.
but here's the thing. Did you look at
guys
your
suck.
but did you look at your aunt and uncle and say like, dude,
No.
you know, you're cool, right? So
Actually, my uncle was cool. But anyway.
It's a generational thing.
My uncle was, man, I don't want to get there, but yeah.
Because now,
wanna go
well,
there.
now hear me out for a
Both my
minute here.
uncles.
Hear me out for a minute, honestly, because Gen X, I believe, has been doing too much for Gen Y for too long. I sound like a Tesla owner, right?
Yeah.
YX3. But what I don't like is the fact that yes, we have coddled those people. It's before it was you want to learn how to swim. Your grandfather threw you in the water.
Threw you in,
right?
yes.
Now it's like, oh, she's 18 months. We're going to take her to swim school, and and believe me, I'm the guy that did it. And we're going to let this other stranger teach our child how to swim at 18 months because we're afraid of her falling in a pool that we don't have, right? So I think that as Gen X, we're so insane about getting it done right, like as far as raising our kids properly, that we
Overcompensate.
We
Oh, heck
overcompensate
yeah.
for it, and it's making our kids soft because it's like, no, Johnny, I don't want you riding your bike to baseball practice. Where my mom's like, you got a mitt, you got a bike.
See ya.
I'll see you when the streetlights are back on.
That's right.
Right.
That's
So
right.
kids, it's not your fault, but run
Sure
with
it is.
scissors.
Run with scissors.
Run with scissors.
Now we have sidebarred.
Okay, yes.
I still
Back.
want to know something
It's a car
he's
show.
designing, something he's doing.
Well, let me ask him this.
something.
No, I've got something.
I mean,
Let me ask
can
him
you
this.
not say, yeah, there's a 70 Mustang fastback coming down the track?
Well,
not for who, not what color.
you know what,
not
though?
what style.
Remember, he already told you that he's not going to tell you.
I'm already
Okay.
I've already.
I know
agreed
you're
with him
prying.
with
I know you're
keeping
prying.
but I'm trying to,
Let
good God.
me ask you this. When
Okay,
I
how
used
about
to
some prints for sale? Jesus, right? Give me
I'm
something.
actually that is one thing that I'm revising in part of my business is I am going to be doing merch type of line.
See,
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, because I would like to get in more. There's a lot of projects where I'm like, just because they don't come to me
Right.
doesn't mean I shouldn't illustrate that out or make that available somehow. So I am going to be coming out with a line of product and merchandise.
Paid by numbers.
Actually laugh,
Not
but
a
I
bad-
actually
yeah,
thought
it's not a
about
bad
taking
idea.
my line drawings and making them into color books.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Stuff like that, you know.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly. But
Can I have one?
That's Sean Smith Design Studio.
I want one. I like the color.
Yeah, no.
and so
Don't mock me.
Why are you watching
There you
Scooby Doo?
go.
And what am I having? Lucky Charms, mother. Anyway,
This guy. Right?
Wait,
Kid
wait,
Hart.
wait,
Kid Hart.
Wait a
though.
minute. Wait a minute. Are you a Lucky Charms person?
I am.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
I didn't say.
So what's your
24/7.
no? Wait, hold on. So what's your cereal of choice then? If we're gonna get into the breakfast
He's going to
cereals.
say no cereal.
Yeah, he's gonna say granola.
no. I was
Pork and fiber chunks.
stupid, but because everybody's like, well, why don't you just eat cinnamon toast crust, which is way too sugary for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I like Golden Grams.
All right. See, I'm fine
I'm
with
a
that.
Golden Graham
I'm down.
person.
Yeah.
But nowadays, because I'm older, I'm going to get Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have that.
I like
Good,
Honey
good,
Nut
for
in
your,
the
good for your
cupboard
heart.
right now.
Good for your heart.
Honey Nut Cheerios is in the cupboard right now.
Yeah.
Frosted Mini Wheat Thins is in the cupboard right now.
That's how you poop.
Thanks. Chocolate Rice Krispies. is
Oh,
Chocolate
now
Rice Krispies.
there's a Scooby Doo.
Right?
Right.
I'll tell you what was the
And
worst.
Sugar Smacks.
No, come on.
No.
Come on.
The one with the
Come
frog
on.
on it?
Yes,
No,
come
that
on.
was
It's
the
Dig 'em.
worst.
Dig
No,
him.
that
Dig him.
was-
Dig him the frog.
But you know what I like?
No, that was
I
the
did-
worst.
but what I do is I pour a bunch of it into a container.
Okay.
With milk.
Yeah.
And then shake it, stir it.
And you let it get
strain
soaked?
it,
Yeah.
And drink the milk because I
Yeah,
love the flavor
yeah,
of the milk.
okay.
After I
Okay,
love the
yeah.
flavor of the milk
Yeah.
after it.
Now, okay.
For whatever reason.
Now, you guys,
Yeah, see,
I grew
I've
up.
got issues.
I grew up a boat racer as well.
Okay.
I did a lot of boat racing, and I spent a lot of time in Parker, Arizona,
Drag
and
racing or
circle boats.
Circle
Actually,
boats,
yeah, we did a little
okay.
bit of drag racing too,
Yeah.
but circle boats mainly is what I'm kind of known for with my buddies and this and that. And I grew up in there was a friend of mine that had a river house like right on the water at Parker, Arizona, and I met this guy. He was much older than I was at the time. I worked for him in high school, and he was a
It's
contractor.
like a band camp story.
No, it's hilarious. It's hilarious. You'll love it. So basically, I had the keys to the castle as a teenager. So that gave me the power to say, hey, listen, you guys want to come to the river house? Come stay with us. But I didn't have any money. So I would always tell people, this is what you need to bring. You need to bring, and I'd give them like a grocery list. Because I knew that when we got there, we're only going to drink beer and go boat racing, right? So there was a time that I told everybody, okay, this is what you need to bring. And Lucky Charms was on the list.
Amen.
Okay, so Lucky Charms showed up. But Lucky Charms didn't accompany milk. Okay, so then there was the debate: do you just pour water over
No.
it? Do you drink it, or do you just eat it out of the box?
just eat it out of the box.
Right?
I guess.
So
Tell
the
them
thing
go
about
buy some milk.
but and also you got to remember we're in the middle of Parker, Arizona. There's not really a lot of stores. Well, there's one in town. I mean, there's obviously
There's a
Safeway.
grocery store. I've been in Parker.
But this was years ago. This was a long time ago. So town was far away, right? And you're hungry now, and you're probably half drunk from the night before because you're up drinking Coors Light.
He's an honest
In
man.
lies what we used because
Coors.
boat racers love Coors Light. So Lucky Charms and Coors Light was like that was
not
our
right.
that was our jam. It doesn't
I don't
have
like
the same
Lucky
milk.
Charms, but I don't like it. I don't not like it that much. Like I wouldn't.
Well, when you're
disrespect it
hungry,
that much.
when you're hungry,
Yeah.
right?
Disrespect
I wouldn't
it.
disrespect the cereal that much.
Oh man,
So-
they're
Gotta
after me Lucky
respect your General
Charms.
Mills.
So yeah, you got to go with what you're after.
That's fun.
Okay, so, good. I'm getting the rapid because I'm gonna get some info out of this motherfucker. So,
It's a Mazda Miata. That's what he's doing next.
oh, okay, cool.
No, but I did work on that project at Mazda.
Oh, really?
This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
As an intern.
there's something.
Okay.
Actually, one of my mentors, Ken Sayward, who actually works at Singer, he worked at Mazda and did MX-5.
Yeah.
which is a
Really talented
cool little
designer.
car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very talented designer.
All right, so since we're wrapping, how do people go see, what is the online address to go look at your artwork, look at what's going on, look at what you will allow?
SeanSmithDesigns.studio. And
Dot studio.
yeah.
Is that real?
Yeah.
Can you say that?
No, it's true. And I was I searched that online as well.
SeanSmithDesigns.studio.
Correct.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah, .com wasn't available then.
Somebody
it is
else
now.
had Sean Smith Design.
Yeah, I think it's a landscape architect or something.
Maybe he makes
Yeah.
Crocs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually,
ew.
that's another conversation.
Hey,
Crocs.
that's disgusting.
Oh my god! Just wear Birkenstocks.
Yes.
It's a lot better. That's what's wrong. Anyways,
That's what's wrong. Now we've gotten to the bottom of it.
It's all about
What's wrong
shoes.
is
It's all about
Crocs.
shoes.
and so yeah, or my Instagram, Sean Smith Designs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's generally where, as much as I've talked about the evils of social media this
No,
evening,
it's part of the deal.
it's part of the deal.
It's the new phone
is
book.
The best
So-
place to find me. Yeah.
Where to see, like, example, the GTO.
Sure.
Will that be at upcoming, like, the Grand National Roadster Show?
I don't know if it will be or not, but I think it's going to be there in Building 4. But another project I was just affiliated with Lopez Performance, Jesus Lopez.
Yay!
From Dave's.
Yes.
Yeah, we're all big
Yes.
fans of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should have them on, actually.
Honestly, I
yeah.
was reaching. Yeah.
Yep.
Their Camaro is going to be in Building 4. And then I'm working on another project with Salvaggio that was actually designed, the exterior was done by Gary Regal, very talented designer.
Yeah.
I've got some artwork by
Yeah,
him.
no,
He's
Great cat.
really good
he
guy.
really is.
And so he did the exterior, and then the owner had me do the interior, which actually, to be honest with you, we didn't have any contact with each other throughout the whole project, but I kind of like the idea of maybe another designer does the exterior and I do the, that's how it
yeah.
is in the studios. And,
Sure.
there's enough of us to go around creatively. So
right.
I kind of like eager to see this project come to, Dave Salvaggio is building the car. So that's going to be coming up pretty soon. We might debut it at Grand National, or we might do some alternative event, like our own event. But so there's a few things coming out by this spring that are going to be pretty fun. But as far as things on the sketchboard now, that Mercedes is going to be pretty big. I'm working on a really big scout project for next year's SEMA with Mikey from Driven Speed Shop.
Nice.
It's a really extensive, complete, hand-built scout.
International Scout?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then interior is going to be really nuts, and it's going to be a different departure from, it's going to be the first off-road vehicle I think I've done.
Cool.
And I'm also doing a lot of early 70s Ford trucks. I'm doing some stuff right now with PRD Design, Bryson Smith. He's doing some really cool stuff. I love how the whole utilitarian early 70s Ford truck stuff's taken
Yeah.
off.
Yeah,
And
it's cool.
Embracing the whole stock look of
Yeah.
them and just keeping it original.
So can people see you live at any of this stuff? Like, are you going to have a booth at Grand National?
I'm going to have a booth at Grand National. It'll be Building 4. Actually, HRE is going to have a booth as well.
Yep,
I
yep.
partner with HRE Wheels and post my wheels. So they'll be right next to me, as well as Gabe's. So we'll be in good
great.
company.
As
Yeah.
do you, right?
Yes.
You,
Yeah.
you like the HREs.
Yeah.
They were just at my shop
Yeah.
doing
Yep.
some filming and
Yeah.
some fitting for a car we're going to debut at SEMA next year.
Yeah, so-
Which I won't talk about either.
There you go.
Here we
Well,
go.
anyway,
it. Yeah.
everyone,
Are
again,
they after me, Lucky Charms?
There you go. Yeah.
oh, everyone's a jackass.
Hey, the cereal thing's not going to die.
No, I'm down. It's all cool.
How magically delicious are they?
They are
Right?
pretty magically.
Were you
delicious.
mad when they came out with the
Yes,
magic? The
and
magic?
and
Yeah,
everything.
that's when after the
Jumping the shark.
Yeah, they had like the rainbow shamrock. That was
This is free entertainment
okay.
right
okay.
here.
I guess we should wrap it up.
The
This is
cereal
true.
life.
I have that in the cupboard too. I do. I do. I'm not kidding.
Life's good.
You know what?
Cinnamon Life's
I'm
a
gonna
jam.
take a photo to prove it and text it to you later tonight.
Their
I'm
cereal
gonna.
life. It's
right?
dramatic.
I wasn't there when it was. So anyway, we want to thank, of course, Sean Smith for hanging in here all night long, and we highly urge that you go check out his stuff online. He is a master designer, and you know what? On top of that, just really, really cool artist. Your artwork is really cool to look at. Just as an enthusiast, it's fun to look at cool stuff when it's drawn pretty bitchin', right?
Yeah. Yes.
So we are Car Guy Confessions with Jeff Smith, but without Jeff Smith. At this particular moment, we want to thank ARP-bolts.com.
Right, not hyphen, dash.
Not hyphen, it's a dash. And of course, we again want to thank the almighty Petersen Automotive Museum for their hospitality to let us come down here. So
We want to
Marcel?
thank you guys too, the viewers. You guys have been awesome for us over these times, and just want to give you guys a shout out as well. Keep listening.